In this video here, what I want to talk to you about specifically is a concept known as unique selling proposition, your USP. And I can't stress how important this is for your clothing brand. I need to drill into you just how important this actually is for your clothing brand and how many clothing brands fail simply because they don't know what makes their clothing brand unique. And what a unique selling proposition is, it's a concise and compelling statement that clearly communicates the unique qualities of your clothing brand. So it's going to distinguish what makes your clothing brand different from the competitors, and it's going to highlight the reasons why people will want to buy your clothing brand over all the other alternatives out there. And if you look at most clothing brands, and believe me, I've done like literally over 1,000 brand reviews, the number one reason I'd say why most clothing brands don't really ever get any traction or get any sales is because they don't know why people would want to buy their clothing brand over all the other clothing brands out there. There's nothing about their brand that has a competitive advantage, that is doing something truly unique, and that separates them from all of the competition out there. So before you can write a unique selling proposition for your brand, which is a concise statement that's clearly stating what makes your clothing brand unique and special and different from all the other brands out there, we first have to flesh out what it even is. Like before you can write that statement, we've got to flesh out what is it about your clothing brand that's truly giving you the competitive advantage. And I want to give you some really clear ways to think about this for your own clothing brand. The first way is to think about differentiation. Straight up, how is your clothing brand different from all the other brands out there? What is unique about your clothing brand? Is it the designs that you're coming out with? Maybe you have a certain style of design that's never really been done before that you're bringing to the market. Or maybe it's your product quality. You're able to source fabrics and use different materials in an industry that's never used materials like yours, and you're going to be able to differentiate in the types of materials that you're using. Or maybe it's just in your brand concept itself. Your brand concept is very unique, very different, something that nobody's ever done before. But there's this really weird bias that we have as clothing brand owners when it comes to differentiation, where most clothing brand owners aren't humble enough to realize that they truly need to be doing something different and offering the market something different in order to get sales. What most clothing brands do is they have this egotistical way of viewing their brand where they think, well, because I'm coming out with the brand, I don't need to really worry about that. People are just going to want to buy because I'm launching a clothing brand and people will just see the value in it. And you really have to be able to view your clothing brand through the eyes of people who don't know you personally. Like people who are stumbling across your clothing brand, they don't know who you are. They're not going to buy just to support you. Why would that person want to buy? And if you step out of your own shoes and you think about your own clothing brand through their perspective, what is it about your clothing brand that's really going to be like, wow, this clothing brand's truly different. I really want to buy from this brand because of this, and this reason. Getting clear on that is going to be something that literally maybe only the top 1 or 2% of brands that start up ever do. Another way to think about this is, what is the clear value proposition of your clothing brand? What are the clear reasons that somebody would want to buy your clothing brand? For my clothing brand, K-Bud Apparel, my brand is based on the humor in rural Canada. And I know that when people buy my clothing brand, what they're getting out of it is they're getting emotion, a laugh, because it's really funny to rock some of these hilarious Canadian sayings on their body around their friends. So they're getting humor out of it. And they're also getting this feeling of pride for Canada. So they get this feeling when they wear a clothing brand that they're super Canadian, that they can show off how Canadian they are around their friends. And I know that I'm tapping into that with my clothing brand, and that's the direct value that they're getting. And you should be able to answer that question for your own clothing brand. What are people going to be getting, experiencing, feeling? Why would they want to buy your brand? You can follow your own creativity here and offer the value that you want to offer with your brand. But it is super important that you get clear on it, because if your clothing brand isn't clear on it, it's very likely that your clothing brand actually isn't offering any value at all, because you just don't know what people are going to be getting from it. And until you can lock in on that, it's really hard to sculpt a brand as a clothing brand into something that people are truly seeing as valuable. Another thing that I want you to think about when it comes to crafting the unique selling proposition for your brand is specificity. A very common issue that I see in clothing brands over and over again over the years doing brand reviews is clothing brands that have brand concepts that are way too vague and general. Okay, so you want to avoid writing vague and general statements for your clothing brand, and you want to write very precisely what it is that your clothing brand is offering. The more precisely that you can write what makes your clothing brand special, the more of an impact it's going to have on your audience. So the clearer that you get with this, the more precise, the more specific that you get into the exact value that people are getting, the more powerful it's going to be. It's kind of like how when the sun is shining on you, it kind of will tan you and it will burn your skin very lightly. But if you actually turn that sun into like a laser and it's very specific line, you can burn very easily, and it's very, very powerful. And you want your clothing brand to be like that laser where it's just shooting out like that very precise value offer that where people see it and they go, oh my God, this clothing brand is truly special. I need to buy this. Once again, the Apparel Success Mastermind is available now, and I wanted to give you another preview clip of inside my brand new course, the Apparel Success Blueprint, which you'll get access to if you decide to join the Mastermind. I just wanted to get in front of you and share that with you, and I hope to see you inside.